Hey everyone, I'm Gage Edwards with Waste 360, and I recently got a chance to talk to one of our 40 Under 40 award winners, the owner and CEO of Superior Medical Waste Disposal, Gerald Belanger. Check out this interview where Gerald and I sit down and talk about the beginnings at his company, the challenges he faced when all of his clients shut down for COVID-19, and the advice he would give to his past self, or really anyone starting off in the business today. Who knows? You might learn something. There's good advice in here, people. Check it out. Tell me for my own, I've read up obviously on Superior Medical Waste, and just for anyone who might be reading about this, can you quickly give me like your snapshot, your elevator pitch on what Superior Medical Waste Disposal is?
Yeah, we're a part of the hazardous waste industry. Specifically, it's medical waste, it's biohazard. We pick up blood saturated items and sharps, majority. That's the majority of our waste from healthcare professionals, hospitals, clinics, even dentists, and we, safely transport it across highways to treatment centers. So it gets properly treated, it gets shredded, it gets, reduced in volume, and it goes to sanitary landfills. So, it's an environmental company, and we try to protect healthcare workers and the public from, different hazards.
Excellent. And what was the inspiration behind Superior?
So my grandfather was doing a local sharps pickup in Michigan, northern Michigan mostly, so pretty rural areas. And when I was in college, I would help him out and try to get him customers closer to the Detroit metro area, which is a very, tons of healthcare professionals, obviously a huge metro. And, not long after I helped him, and I was like, oh, we could turn this into, more than just a small sharps disposal, more than just small clinics. We could go for hospitals, medical centers, assisted living homes, things like that, and do more, like biohazards, pharmaceutical waste. There's so many different waste streams, obviously, so you could kind of pivot in any way. So we went to a fully, full service biohazard company, and I bought the sharps, his sharps customers from him, and I turned it to Superior Medical Waste, which now we do more than sharps, and we can compete with large scale biohazard services.
Yeah, and I was reading up on your website of all the different things you did, because obviously me just hearing about it, I think, okay, needles, blood bags, and I'm a person with a lot of tattoos, so I was like, you guys even service tattoo parlors.
We have a lot of tattoo parlors, honestly. We probably have the most tattoo parlors in Michigan. A lot of people, it's funny you say that. A lot of services kind of shy away from tattoo artists or like smaller tattoo shops. And a big part of building the company was going for them. It was, we've had tons of good partnerships with small tattoo clinics.
Why do you think people shy away from tattoo shops?
Well, I think maybe there's an old, not myth, or maybe you'll hear a lot of things like you have to pay in advance, or they're scared that tattoo shops have told us that they wouldn't get contracts because they didn't think they would pay on time. So maybe companies in the past were burned by them. I mean, it's never been our experience. And also tattoo shops like to pay in cash. It's a cash business, and us being a small company, we could always accept that. I mean, we loved it. It's different now as we're growing. We don't really take cash, but when I was just me in a truck, I take cash, exchange them for services, and we had a pretty good relationship that way.
Interesting.
Also, and they're the smaller producer, so some bigger companies are like, it's not really worth our time to come out there 4 times a year. And like for me, I'm like, hey, that's great. You're in my town. We'll swing by 4 times a year and take care of it.
Yeah. I mean, as someone that frequents tattoo shops, I just see a lot of the stuff that they're throwing away that's got to go biohazard because it's all like, dealing with bodily fluids. So yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad someone's supporting the tattoo shops other than me handing over money every month. So obviously, like we talked about, there's a need for, this kind of cleanup service kind of all over the place. What is the expansion like for Superior? What are you thinking for future terms?
Well, expansion, I would start with just like geographical. I want to take it, to the Midwest. We've already been able to subcontract all over the country. So we actually have contracts all over, Texas, California, Florida. And we don't actually physically have to be there. We just have partnerships with other small medical waste companies that can help us out with it. So that is part of the growth, is getting out there, making more partnerships with hazardous waste companies, and buying and selling contracts. Right now, we service all of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio directly, and then indirectly, we can almost get anywhere in the United States.
Excellent. Well, that's cool. What challenges do you think you face regularly, or what challenges are you seeing often that you're like, this is always a bane for us?
Well, there's a consolidation of small medical practices, which when big companies or like dental offices, when they buy these dental offices, they'll be these big companies will own like thousands of dental offices, and then they'll have big contracts already with large waste companies. So we lose that contract when Dr. Smith sells to, let's say like a Dental Association Group of America or something like that. We kind of lose the contract because they're like, hey, we already have Stereocycles servicing, our 1,000 clinics, and we see that a problem. So smaller offices, no fault of their own, they're getting their money, they're selling to big companies. Those corporations don't like to use smaller companies. Typically, they use corporations like similar size to them. So that's one issue on the top of my head.
Okay. And then just speaking of, I guess, recent terms, COVID-19, how did the pandemic affect Superior or your team's ability to work effectively, or did it have an impact?
Yeah, well, so right away, everything shut down. And because we are a smaller company and we do focus on small tattoo shops, small dental offices, and that was our primary focus, it really still is. When it first hit, what was that, March 2020? We were all small offices at the time, maybe a couple larger clinics and hospitals, but once it hit, they all shut down. They all stopped, unless they were emergency service. They weren't working, so we had no work to do. So we completely stopped, and that was it. We went from running a truck full time, maybe 2 trucks at that time, to nothing. And then 2 weeks after doing nothing, we get a call from COVID testing, the first COVID testing service around Metro Detroit, and they are so busy. They have so much waste. They don't know what to do with it. So now we have one customer we're servicing, but they were producing so much. They were producing as much waste as all our hundreds of other customers at the time.
Wow.
And then really soon, it's like, okay, so we don't service any of our contract customers. They're not in the office. COVID testing labs are coming up everywhere. And then we became almost like a primary COVID-19 waste disposal service. And then soon vaccines came, a year later, year and a half later, we were, picking up their used vaccine needles and expired vaccines, COVID test swabs, and any even PPE material, masks that people weren't sure to put in the garbage or not. We take care of it for them to make sure it got treated. And no one knew how the spread was going at first anyway, so everyone kind of wanted to treat everything as biohazard.
So it almost seemed like you were filling a need anyway, and then when things shut down and your client shut down, you're like, there was a new need that was kind of explosive.
Totally new need, and no one I never even thought of. And then and then it kind of like the light bulb popped, like, oh, now we can help out all these COVID labs with all our customers. So we completely, within 2 weeks, we're just busy doing COVID-19 things.
Well, it kind of transformed a little bit, and it worked out. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
So let's take it back. Starting off, you talked about your van a little bit. You were starting off in a painter's van, I believe.
Yeah, I have a painter's van.
Little painter's van.
I have a photo of it somewhere too. Just an old. That's what my grandfather was using, because he was just doing really small offices, dental offices. That just had a little baby sharps container, like something like this even.
Oh wow!
He'd have this a couple times a year, and he'd go pick this up, and it would be very like mom and pop exchange, and it was cool. And so that's what the van I took from him when I purchased his customers. I purchased that van. It was probably worth like $2,000. I donated the van like 2 years later when we bought our first box truck. Now we have 3 box trucks and a 26-foot Freightliner that we run.
Excellent. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I guess go back to your first question. Yeah, we just had a painter's van to start.
Little painter's van. But to go back to yourself having that little painter's van, what advice would you give yourself starting off with that? What would you maybe do differently, or is you just nail everything and you're like, yeah, no, I had it.
Oh man. I think I did it the right way. I didn't spend a lot of money up front. I took this old van. I think a lot of people might want to go get that new shiny 2022 Ford Transit that really pops. And I didn't have that, but the customers we were serving didn't care about that. They just wanted a good service at a reasonable price. And that's what we gave them. And by doing that, we were able to be profitable because I didn't have a huge bottom line. and I took it slow. I didn't have a lot of debt. I just used profit to just keep reinvesting in the company. Take that 12 painters hand helped in just using that. So I think I did do it the right way in that regard. And just in general, I took it slow. It's a slow build, still is. It's very gradual. Nothing's really exponential. But I think I'm doing it the right way, and I did. I didn't know anything. I'm learning as I go for sure. But I think this is the healthiest way to build a sustainable small business.
Yeah, I think that's good advice that people can use in a lot of different areas. I think a lot of people do think that they need to get the biggest truck right away or the most expensive equipment right away. But really, if you have something already, just start doing it, learn, and do what you can.
Give the service first and focus on the service, and everything else will come. You're going to make the money. As long as your customers are happy, then they're going to refer you to more business, and you're going to get more customers, and then the shiny things are coming. Because you do see a lot of companies in the weights industry take on huge amounts of debts, buying that things to look like the other companies. And we're not trying to be like any other company. We don't need to copy them. We're just trying to do it our way that works. That what our customers need, and that's what we've done all along.
Well, what is next for Superior Medical Waste Disposal?
We're going to continue to grow. We're in growing phases right now. We want to reach out and get into other different types of waste streams, like more into recycling, paper shredding, different hazardous waste streams. There's so many different types, but we get calls all the time. Hey, can you take care of this oil? Can you take care of these chemicals? Well, you need proper licensing to transport. You need treatment centers, and you need connections in the industry. So the next move is just to make more connections and get broaden our stance in the waste and get more involved in different waste streams.
Mm-hmm. I just thought this off the top of my head. Do you have a client right now that you don't think you would ever have to serve? You don't have to name them specifically, but maybe something they throw away that you're like, oh, I didn't think I'd be here, but here I am helping them.
Oh, for sure. In two ways. I have clients that are large, and I'm like, I can't, if I think about not that I could never imagine it, but it definitely I'm happy that we got them, and it was more of a dream. Could you get a client this big at the contract this size and beat out these huge competitors? And yeah, I can think of some of those. And I can also think about, like you said, I would never think I'd be here, just in my local town, or driving, we're at Service Michigan, Ohio, driving past these random buildings that I've seen in my whole life. I don't know. And then all of a sudden we get a customer in this building that passed my whole life, but don't know what it is. We're a random office building, and now we're in there all the time servicing this random customer, this random office, or this hospital that I've always passed and never really thought twice of, and now they're a huge part of our business.
Well, I mean that's awesome. I think that's great when people get in these when they start up their company and they're just like, how did I get here? Or wow, I can't believe I'm helping this business that I've known for so long. I always think that's good, especially for a local feel.
Totally. I feel like that all the time. So it's so super weird. People ask me all the time, why are you in this? I mean, it's just weird organic growth from being 19, helping my grandfather, and then now I'm just part of this medical waste company. And I just own this medical waste company. I don't really know how it happened, just focusing one day ahead, and then it's here.
Right. Is there anything else you'd like to mention for readers or anybody that might need to know about Superior Medical Waste? Do you have anything going on that you'd like to talk about?
No, nothing. No exciting news, really. Not here.
Yeah, sometimes it's good news, hey, everything's normal.
Yeah, everything's good. Like I said, steady, and I don't know how the article read if it talks about my grandfather at all. Oh, I don't know if you have his name. His name's Tim Gerke, but that's probably it. I mean, we put new news on our blog and our website all the time, updates on what's going on, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I was checking out your website again before we did this, and I was looking around. I was like, I wonder if they made a Superior pun anywhere. And then I watched your intro video, and it was right at the end. I was like, they got it. They nailed it. They know what they're doing over there. So it was really, really good to find that.
Thanks for watching. You can check out more of our 40 Under 40 award winners at waste360.com. And be on the lookout for more 40 Under 40 award winner interviews and features as we get closer to our big event in May, Waste Expo. By the way, did you know Waste Expo is happening May 1st through May 4th in New Orleans? You should really make sure you're attending Waste Expo in New Orleans, May 1st through May 4th, where you can connect with amazing people from all over the industry. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to be there. It's going to be awesome. So make sure you're there too. As always, I'm Gage Edwards. Thanks for watching.